How are we doing, everyone? Welcome back to the Shape Through Fate podcast. Thanks very much for listening. Hope you've been enjoying the content thus far. Today's going to be a long one. It is going to be a long one. Today's guest is Bear. He's the manager at the Anvil, which is a rock bar and music venue in Bournemouth. He is the front man in the band Thume. So here's Thume. So that's Thume. If you want to check them out, go to Spotify and search Thume. Thuum. What else does Bear do? He does a lot of gaming and he streams over on Twitch. He's got his own channel, which is called Bear Essentials, which is Essentials with a Z at the end of it. He also does the Bear Pit, which is on the Bloodstock Festival page. So go and check out those if you like to be entertained. So yeah. Here we go. It's going to be a long one, the longest one yet. Not much editing went into this because I wanted you to hear the whole conversation. So hopefully you enjoy it, and thanks for listening. I'll see you again next week. Enjoy. Shape Through Fate podcast. Shape Through Fate podcast. I am joined today by Bear. He's the manager at the Anvil. He's in a band. He's a streamer. He's a wrestling fanatic, I think it's fair to say.
Yes, there is, and thank you for having me on the show.
No worries. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Nice drizzly English Saturday afternoon. What's more, not to love?
I'm actually more of a fan of it because where I sit to do these, I've got a window right in front of me. So when it's sunny,
right,
my eyes are just streaming.
Beam straight through.
It's horrendous. With the intro there, we've got quite a bit to talk about. So we'll start with music and then we'll veer away from music because while this is a music podcast, I'm interested in hearing about more than just music.
Nice.
So we'll veer away from it. So I guess the best place to start is what got Bear into music. Talk to me through Baby Bear and his music tastes.
Baby Bear. I was always a singer. I always liked singing when I was younger. You'd never know it to look at me, but I was actually in the choir when I was younger. Actually sang in front of the Queen as a piece of strange trivia for you. Yeah.
Let's quickly. How did that come about? Let's quickly, because I mean we can't just gloss over the fact you sang for the Queen. What's that about?
So I was at a big boarding school called Royal Hospital School in Ipswich, and they had a quite prestigious choir section, and we got asked to sing at St Paul's Cathedral for, I think it was like Wayfarers Festival, or something to do with the Navy. I think one of the services, and myself and the choir sung in front of the Queen, and the biggest thing I remember of the day is that she looked like a canary because she was wearing this whole yellow suit.
Fair enough. That's stuck in your mind then. Okay, so you sang for the Queen.
Yep.
And then where did we go from there? So in the choir, sang for the Queen.
Yeah. So I was always liked my singing, and then I kind of got to my teens, and then I discovered Nirvana, and then Nirvana was the band really that set off the love of proper, angry, aggressive music. Before that, I used to love Michael Jackson 5 as I was growing up. That was kind of my first love musician-wise was Michael Jackson, most definitely. I remember asking my parents to buy, my grandparents to buy me all of the Michael Jackson tapes and stuff. And then, I remember when I was at school, my friend had this cassette of Nevermind, and I remember looking on the back of it. And even then, I was kind of enamored by them. There was a picture of Kurt Cobain sticking his finger up, and I was like, "Oh, that's so badass. Who's that?" And then, Q further down the line till I was about 14, and I started hanging out with this guy at school who became like my best friend, and we used to sit in his house basically for this whole summer. We sat in his house playing Mario Kart on the N64, and he had Nevermind on cassette. And he would play we'd play one side, and then as soon as we get to the end, we'd flip it. We'd play outside. As soon as it get to the end, we'd flip it, and we'd be there for hours just listening to the same cassette. playing Mario Kart, and it just instilled in me there. And then that was it, really. From then on, Nirvana, as soon as the Nirvana bug kicked in, I got my first job. I went straight down the CD shop with my £150 after my first payday, and I bought every single Nirvana CD there was. So, yeah.
So is that where the guitar playing comes from as well?
No, the guitar playing. Oh man, the guitar playing came a lot later. So I moved away from. I was living in rural Dorset with my mum, and it wasn't really going well down there. There was nothing to do. Like if you teenage boy in the rural sticks of nothing, it's drinking, and that's pretty much it to do around there. This was before, because I used to live just out by Yeovil, so this was before the ski lodge and everything. And so I actually moved to live with my dad in Chichester when I was about 18, 19. And I started hanging out with this guy called Joe, who was a drummer. And I was kind of playing with a guitar, but just kind of like writing riffs on one string, sorry. And he was like, "Oh, you should be a bassist." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I've never really thought about it." But and he was like, "Yeah, you should. You're pretty good at writing like just single note riffs and stuff. Like, we need a bassist for our band. You should learn bass." And so so that's where it started. I bought a Westfield bass with a 15-watt practice amp, and I got to learn in Deep Purple, and I got to learn in Black Knight. Well, yeah, Black Knight by Deep Purple. I got to learn Ozzy Osbourne and Rob Zombie, and then on to Pantera, and Pantera again was the next stepping stone for me in progression of music.
Right,
the heaviness, when you listen to Pantera, it's very easy to be taken by the riff, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive Pantera fan, but I know their riffs, and I could probably name an album's worth of Pantera songs, and I don't listen to them. So. Yeah,
so that was so I played bass for a long, long time, and then again, power of the riff, isn't it? After Lamb of God came along, I didn't used to like Lamb of God when I first heard them because I didn't like the screaming, if you can believe that. And it grew on me, and again, it's a progression. I went from playing bass I started to try and dabble playing guitar, and I wanted to play riffs. I wanted to play my own stuff, and I started writing my own stuff, and then that was it, really. I think it got to about, because I've not actually been playing guitar that long, it got to about 2010, and I was like, right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So I took out a loan, and I spent $1,000 on an orange rig and a proper guitar, and just went from there, and then just started learning to record my own stuff, and then started trying to get something together from there. So yeah, that was how I got into playing guitar, really.
Have you still got that guitar? Did you keep your first guitar, or
was that one that got
sold
actually
to make way for someone else?
So yeah, it was an Ibanez. It was one of it was like one of the early Ibanez ones. It's kind of like a proper. It wasn't a Squire. It wasn't like a Fender Squire. It was actually like an Ibanez. But yeah, I think I ended up selling it or trading it or something, because I ended up getting getting given a Epiphone SG. And then once I got the SG, that was like, oh, okay, this is my type of guitar. I like this. And then I had an SG for a long time until I actually upgraded. I was using my SG at the beginning days of Thume, until someone actually had a Gibson SG Derek Truck Signature for sale for a good price. So I upgraded to the real deal, and I've not looked back since. I'm
a bit of an SG fan, so I completely appreciate the fact that you got bought in by the SG.
They just look so badass, don't they? There's a look about them. Obviously, you got the Black Sabbath connection as well with Tony Iommi. He rocks a black SG, and it's just that they just have that nice. It's a Gibson. The Gibson have that tone, don't they? They're just. I'm a fan of the Les Pauls as well, but they're a little bit. For me, they're a bit chunky. There's a lot of wood on a Les Paul.
Like, for me, the SGs, they're versatile as well. Not that you're going to be suddenly jamming out some jazz, but you can go, like, you don't need a different guitar to play all these different genres. You just get yourself an SG and, yeah, play whatever you want.
Very true, very true. The only thing I would say is, so tonally, it's amazing, and so for recording, it's great. And but the only thing I would say when I'm out gigging, I do tend to have actually a gigging guitar, just because it's quite an expensive guitar anyway, and B because of the neck and because it's it's good. SGs can be a little bit tetchy on the neck with temperatures, so I do actually kind of have like a gigging guitar,
Right.
but to record with, yeah, the warmth and the tone of an SG and the feeling and everything as well is not you can't compete with that really.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that SGs aren't really like gigging guitars unless you've got the budget to buy a few. I got an SG on finance, practiced with it a few times, went to play a show, leave it in its case for a little bit, come back, case has moved, I'm like, oh, bollocks, what's gone on here? Open the case and it's a dark venue, so I'm like looking down at my tuner, trying to tune, I'm like, fucking thing won't go in.
Yeah.
Like, it won't go in. Look up, and where they've got such an extreme angle on the headstock, it's snapped.
Oh, no.
At the headstock. So I was like, you're fucking joking. I've not even played a gig with this thing yet.
No.
So, yeah.
That would have been heartbreaking.
It was. I rang she's my wife now, but I rang her when she was my girlfriend. I was like, don't come to this show. I am fucking fuming. Like, I am in such a foul mood.
Did you have a backup guitar or someone lend you a guitar so you could do the gig still? Or?
Yeah, I've still got it. It's I had a Court that I've had for years, and that was my backup guitar, and I fucking trashed it that night. I was in such a bad mood that it got beaten up so much. I was like, I'm gonna take it out on the one that I don't want to use. So.
Nice.
Yeah, so SGs are lovely, but they're not very transportable. No, I think that's the same with most Gibsons, though. Like the angle of the neck, where it's just so extreme that the slightest bump and it's gone.
Yeah, I agree. But they are, as I say, they are. If you play a special show where you can look after it or what, and you're only doing that one show, one-offs, or you're recording with it, then it's bang tidy.
So let's move on to Thum then. Was that? I mean, I know we briefly exchanged a few messages about it the other day, but that's still going, but it's on hiatus at the minute.
Yeah. So yeah, Thum kind of came to a halt in December 18,
right?
And it's kind of been it's been on hold ever since. Obviously, the pandemic's not helped that situation either.
No.
But after a year, I wanted to do something ever since. I do still want to get something going again. I've got stuff I've written. I've got stuff ready. There's stuff. There's pretty much like an album now ready to go.
Okay.
And there's the thought process there. It's just pushing it to the next level. Obviously, as much as I'd like to walk down the street with a drum strapped to my back, playing guitar with a mic, I'm not a one-man band. So obviously, it takes it takes a unit for us to do it. So that would be the next part.
I mean, the sound guy at Anvil, as you probably well know, I don't know why I'm telling you this.
Yep.
Good drummer.
Mr. Scott, I believe.
Yeah.
Mr. Nick Scott, yes.
Mr. Nick Scott.
He is like every drummer in the world, though, bro. He is in about 7 bands.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. That is true. Isn't he in like some 9 million piece jazz band or something?
They're kind of like jazz, more like bluesy jazz, called Midnight Alliance. They're actually really cool. They're actually more, I think they're more of a funk band, actually.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're really cool. I actually really like Midnight Alliance. So they're if you've never seen Midnight Alliance and you like your funky blues, definitely go check them out.
Yeah. So talk to me about Bloodstock, because you've got we're going to start we're kind of going to veer off music. I don't know. It's going to be all over the place. So it seems like you got some affiliation with Bloodstock because you played there 2017, which I'm going to let you take the lead on that one because you told me a good piece of trivia. So would you like to explain?
I did. I'll tell you what though. I'll do is I will back up a bit and tell you how I started with Bloodstock because there's
probably makes perfect sense.
There's a part before that. Yeah. So I've been running Metal to the Masses now for Bloodstock, which is their kind of battle, their regional battle of the bands. initiative. I've been running that since 2009 here in
Right.
Bournemouth. And that was so I actually did the second ever year of the initiative that I took on at the Gander, which is an old venue in Bournemouth, which is no longer with us. And yeah, I basically almost every year been working for Bloodstock. So we were obviously on the radar, so to speak. Anyway, luckily, through contacts. But we
Yeah.
were we were lucky to get our foot in the door. But then our music, fortunately, did the rest of the work for us.
Cool.
So the music was heard, and some of our live videos were watched, and so we were invited. Thune was invited to play the New Blood stage in 2017, and one of the best experiences of my life. You wouldn't know it from the photo afterwards. It's possibly the worst photo I've ever had taken of me in my life.
Is that the photo where you're on stage?
Yeah, awful.
It looked. I saw it, mate. Like the crowd is fucking massive.
The crowd was amazing. Like from a small band from like us, where we'd really only just released, or we were just about to release our EP. We managed to pick up a lot of traction real quick. I don't know. I'm obviously my contacts in the industry help. With being a promoter, you network and so on and so that definitely helped. But I don't know, man. We were so surprised. I was expecting like half a full tent. Like, so people, that's why it was 1,000. It was 1,000 people tent, right? So I was expecting like maybe 400 or 500 people, but no, I think the number was like 800. I was like, it was almost full. And
the photo looked ridiculous, mate.
Man.
That must have been a hell of an experience.
Oh, it was wicked. The worst part of it, I was suffering from a massive cold.
Oh, shit.
We had a gig at the Wedgwood Rooms with a band called Dendera just before on the 8th of August as well. And
Right.
I was suffering, man. I was like, this is so typical. We're going to go and play Bloodstock. It's going to be one of the biggest opportunities of our career as a band, and as a musical experience of my life, probably the biggest thing as well. Even more so than singing in front of the Queen, in my eyes anyway. And I got ill, and I was like, oh, here we go. And now I got to sleep in a tent in a field for 3 days. And I was downing all of the honey and eating all of the vocal zones and to get up there. So the singing was slightly ropey, but the one good thing of having a cold with death metal growls is you can kind of get away with it because it just sounds husky, doesn't it? So
if anything, it might help a little bit.
It kind of does, but it's just when you go to sing, you can't hold a note when you've got a bit of a cold.
Yeah.
It kind of goes, oh! Instead of go, oh, you go, ah. It bends out.
Is that something you find often? Because I find it as a singer sometimes. Like, whenever you're gearing up to something, you're like, oh, I'm in the studio, I've got a decent show coming up. I'm always
ill. Yeah. I think it's almost a reaction in your body, probably anxiety or something along those lines, isn't it? I would say your body maybe. It almost puts up like a level of protection.
Yeah.
But it's typical, isn't it? One of those things. It's as hard as a drummer, as hard as it is for a drummer. At least as long as they can turn up with their 2 arms and 2 legs, they'll be fine.
Yeah, when you've got a microphone in front of you, if a funny noise comes out, everyone's hearing it.
Everyone hears it. You're right at the front. Everybody's looking at you.
Yeah,
and it's but I feel we obviously got away with it because we came home and we picked up. I got told by someone, "Oh, you need to go and pick up Kerrang this week." I was like, "All right," and then so we went and picked up Kerrang, and I couldn't believe it. Picked up. Two-page spread of the Bloodstock Festival coverage from Kerrang. First band mentioned Thune. I was like, what? We got mentioned first band on the because we played the Friday. First band listed on the thing. They gave us 4Ks, and we were the only New Blood stage. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
That is pretty special.
Yeah, man.
Have you still got that You still got it?
You're damn right.
Nice. Yes.
That ain't going
Glad to hear
nowhere. That one's
No.
for the kids.
So I guess if we're sticking on the old Bloodstock theme, because you're now streaming in partnership with them, what's the deal? Because you do a lot of streaming.
Yes.
So Bear Essentials, the stream, the Bear Pit.
Yes.
So talk to me about. So was that something that was always planned? Because were you doing it before everything locked down, or was it everything got locked down? You're like, well, fuck it, I'm going to do some live streaming.
I've kind of dabbled. So I've always, with the gaming side of things, I've always dabbled on being a content creator, inverted brackets.
Yeah.
Because anytime something ever funny happened or anything while I was gaming, I would always clip it on my PlayStation. This was before I really got into like PC gaming. And so anytime anything would happen, I would clip it, and then I would because there's an editing software called Share Factory on PS4. And I would kind of edit on there and then upload it to YouTube, share it with my friends. And that's really where it started. And then I've always been wanting to dabble with streaming, but I kind of never had the balls, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because it's a big thing to put yourself on camera all the time. It's one thing to I've done videos where I've gone on camera and I've spoken a bit and then cut, and that's fine. And if it goes wrong, then you can just redo it, right?
Yeah.
So putting yourself on a camera where it's constant, it was a different thing, and I wasn't sure about doing it. But the pandemic kind of pushed my hand. I was stuck at home doing nothing, losing kind of the sense of purpose, and because the rug was just like many other people in the country in the scene. The rug was just completely taken out from underneath me as a manager of a vibrant rock bar in the center of town, as a musician and everything like that. It was just like there was everything and then there was nothing. So for me, I was like, well, I think I'm gonna give this a go. So I actually started doing Facebook streams to begin with, and it was just chatting. So I would just stream myself sat at my desk, and people would come in and I'd say hello and we'd have a chat and it would be funny. And I did some shots and stuff on the first ones,
Is that where the, because originally it was the Anvil Gaming Group, wasn't it?
It was
you
the
set
AAG,
that up, and that's where you did your streaming there.
Well, yeah, that's where it first started, where we were doing custom Call of Duty nights.
Okay.
We were doing, there's a video I did, which is quite funny actually, called Simon Says, where we all kind of stood and, obviously the rules of Simon Says stand up, Simon Says shoot in the sky, sit down. If you sit down because Simon didn't say, then, you would get out.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. And it was all kind of set up. Yeah, exactly that. It was set up as a something for people to do and to keep a community and keep going whilst we were all sat at home.
Yeah, I think that's what I found great about it is a lot of the things that you seem to be involved with, and we'll get onto the wrestling and the streaming and stuff. It's not just you putting content out, it's you trying to create this atmosphere of, right, there's 20 of us, there's 40 of us, there's whatever, and there's a little community going on. So it's never just you putting out content. It's always you trying to get a group of people and a community go. I like, that's great. I really like that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It's not just like a one-way conversation. It's you're trying to engage people, and there's always open conversation, and like you say in the groups that you've got on the Facebook, it's all about community, which.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes I look and come across as a grumpy bastard, but I mean, I am a people person at heart, and I do like to, I always have tried to create something and have something as a collective. I've even with the kind of metal in Bournemouth, when I started DJing and running nights and promoting in 2007, that was always my thing. Was we should have this. And I in Bournemouth, and it wasn't in the same way that people like Dom Patience and Choff do the same thing. It's like, obviously part of it was a sense of achievement for myself, but I was also like, we should have this, and we don't have this. Let's have this. Let's do it. So no, I'm very lucky with I'm very lucky with the people in Bournemouth and around, and there's a lot of people that are willing to kind of input as well, and that helps. Obviously, you don't have a community by one person telling everyone what's going on, or a community is because other people input as well. So I'm very lucky that I found people to be able to do that as well.
Yeah. So I guess going back to the streaming, like I say, we're jumping about all over the place here. Which is, no,
Bloodstock,
I'm cool
sorry.
with that. Yeah, so Bloodstock, I guess that's due to the contacts you had, and perhaps they had like a bigger platform to put you on than Facebook. Is that how that came about?
Well, I went onto Twitch in December 2020, and I've been streaming on Twitch for 5 months, and it's been going really well. It was going really, really well. The numbers went really, really quickly up. Sometimes it takes some people a year to get 50 followers, and I was, knocking. I've got up to 250 in 5 months. So it was going really well, and it's just kind of like, again, that kind of weird thing of being in the right place at the right time. Bloodstock are now trying to push their brand to the digital platform because it's the future. And they wanted to expand their channel. They wanted to do more. And it came up in a conversation between a couple of the guys at Bloodstock, and they were considering people, and Simon, who is the main booker for Metal to the Masses and also the Sophie Sage, said to one of the guys, "Have you thought about Bear?" And they said, "Funny enough, you should say that. We've already actually messaged him. We're waiting for a reply." So, and that's where it went. Really, I got the message, and I was like, I basically just said, I would love to do this for you. I've obviously worked with Bloodstock since 2009. I've always been a massive ambassador, so to speak, for that festival because I love it so much. It's every year they're like a family to me now. So it was, the only concern I had going on is that they would want me to not be me. So when we spoke, I was like, look, I really want to come and do this, but I've got this thing going on already, and I don't want to change that. So as long as you're happy with me coming over and still doing that, but for you, then I'm in. And they were like, we don't want you to change. That's perfect. Do your bear pit, be the bear pit on Bloodstock. And that's all we would ask. And that's it. But now I'm on there every Thursday, 9:00. I do week in, week out. I do music one week and then gaming the next. So with the music, it's podcasting and DJing, and then the gaming is whatever really is good for the time. And I've been doing it for 5 weeks now, and it's awesome, loving it.
Yeah, it's great that they're so supportive of it as well, and they didn't want you to kind of like change to suit whatever brand they had in mind. It was, well, no, we want you to be Bear. Like, you are Bear, you be Bear. We don't want Bear, but with a different persona. We want you for you. So it's great that they were supportive of that. Like, I can imagine a lot of places will say, right, you've got to like twist yourself to suit our brand, or it's not happening.
Which, don't get me wrong, if they said that, I would have obviously considered it. But at that time, I was like, I've put 5 months of work into this now, and I feel like it's going somewhere. I feel like when I have a good night, it's like, that feeling when you come off a stage and you play that really good gig and you come off and you're like, you know what, this might actually have traction. And it's like that for me. It's like, and I was like, I don't want to jeopardize that. But like, if I was in another position where I was like, well, I'd be a fool to turn down Bloodstock, then obviously I would think about it. But no, I was really happy in that they were like, no, just do your thing. We just want you to do your thing, but for Bloodstock. And I was like, that's fine. I mean, I'm pretty much, my way, my tastes and everything kind of veer towards Bloodstock anyway. So it was a natural transition for me.
And you're still doing stuff on your own?
Yeah. I still do every Sunday and Tuesday. On Sunday, I do more content-based stuff, so things that take a bit longer to play, not just one hit on a stream. More like, so this Sunday I'm doing Ghostbusters, which I started last week or the week before, so I'm carrying that on, which is great. And then Tuesday, I do a thing called First or Last, and what that is basically I have so many games my Steam and my Epic account backlog, which I've bought over the years through sales and when I see cheap and so on and so forth. That I've built up this big back catalogue of games, and I was like, what am I really want to get through these games and somehow. And then just one day I came up with the idea. I was like, I just play them on stream. I just like literally every week I'll just play a brand new game I've never played and stream it. And that's how First or Last came out. And then now every Tuesday now, and now I've doubled it. So now I'm playing 2 games every Tuesday. So for 6 hours, first 3 hours one game, the second 3 hours another game. And,
do you find that you have a specific genre game you go for? Because for me, and it's the same with films or anything for me. If I'm not completely engaged in 10 to 15 minutes, gone. Yeah, I'm not. Do you?
Yeah, I weirdly, do you know what? It's kind of weird because as a person, like my personal taste wise, is actually kind of different to what is good for streaming. So I'm more of a open world kind of RPG kind of guy, and also on the flip side of that, I love playing multiplayer Modern Warfare, and a lot of shooter games. But those ones don't. Those either side of the spectrum don't translate that well to a live stream, unless like obviously there's Call of Duty streamers out there, obviously, but they're of a high level, and that's the difference. So it's actually, this is what's been good with this for doing. I guess I'm classed now as a variety streamer because I do so many different things, especially with First or Last. It's got me to play games that would normally be out of my comfort zone, but because of that, it actually generates quite a lot of funny content, and because of that, it tends to. Yeah, it gets me to play games I never would have played, and so my reaction is quite organic. If I played the same, if every week I just played RPGs, I think my reactions would be different.
Yeah, I suppose because you've seen it happen, so it's not like when you're playing games for the first time you've got that like instant reaction. But if you've seen it, like I find on some games, the NPCs will say, "Oh, I've heard that line like 3 times now."
Yeah. Well, especially in Bethesda games.
Yeah, like it was funny the first time.
Yeah.
Third time, it's like, oh, okay, I must have hit a certain amount in this game that it's just going to be the same from here on out.
Yeah. And RPGs and the stuff like that, they do kind of fall into sometimes. They fall into that repetitive kind of notion, don't they? Where not even just in one game. I mean, like. The genre in itself, you see things from one game in another game, so again, there are people that do have a fan base out there that just want them to play RPGs, or they just want them to play shooters. But I'm not like, I like playing loads of different things. I'm really bad at completing things as well. So I always just end up playing things to half and then never completing them. So again, being a variety streamer where I get to play loads of different stuff is probably beneficial for me as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got a question written down here. What's your favourite game of all time? Now, I know that's going to be like, there's so many to choose from.
Yeah.
But if you had one, think Desert Island Games. You can take one with you that you just because you got a Desert Island with a console on or a PC on, because you're not going to call to go home. So what game are you playing?
I'll make a PC out of a bamboo tree. It'd be fine. It's easy. It's an easy one. Skyrim every time.
Okay.
I name my band after it. So Thune comes from Skyrim, which is actually in Skyrim it's Thuum, which is Dragon Shout. Skyrim, to this day I've played probably over 1,000 hours on it through different characters, and there's still quest lines and factions that I've not completed, and Fair DLCs enough. So it's so big, so much to do. Yeah, Skyrim would be the one for me, most definitely.
Cool. So It's twitch.tv/Bear Essentials with a Z on it.
It is.
Yeah. So go and check that out. What was it? Sunday, Tuesday, and then you're on the Bloodstock on the Thursday?
Yeah, Bear Pit's on the Bloodstock channel on the Thursday.
Cool. So do you want to talk about wrestling or do you want to talk about the Anvil now? It's up to you. Which way do you want to go? Because, I mean, we veered away from music, so I'm going to bring it back to music slightly.
I love them both equally. Let's talk wrestling and finish on Anvil then.
Okay, so you run the BWC Bournemouth Wrestling Community Facebook page.
Indeed.
Again, I can't remember when I joined that, but was that? I suppose that was a before.
Years now.
Yeah,
it's mad.
Yeah.
That again. So here's again. I was like, there isn't one. Why isn't there one? There's like loads of us. You know, there's.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, go.
Yeah, like the amount of people I know that like wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, oh, well, you got to kind of hide underground because wrestling's not cool. Like, so you'll mention to someone who you like wrestling, and it's the classic, oh, it's fake or whatever. It's like, well, it's
the
not,
F word.
It's not fake. It's predetermined, but it's not fake.
The F word.
Like, yeah.
I mean, what's not cool about men in Speedos
exactly.
getting all sweaty and throwing each other around?
Exactly. It's no different. And I say it like this. So somebody will say, oh, you know, wrestling's fake and predetermined. I said, oh, do you watch any soap operas?
Yeah.
Like, do you watch EastEnders? Because it's exactly the same, except you haven't got hunky men in pants.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I've got.
Also, I'm pretty sure Bruce Willis probably doesn't actually shoot guns.
Yeah, good point.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sean Bean hasn't died 15 times.
There you go. Yeah, it's all for the element of entertainment, isn't it? But yeah. Some people do have an issue getting their head around wrestling. It's quite funny.
I've never understood it. It's like, well, yeah, it's fake, but just watch it. Like, I mean, the storylines aren't great now, but you watch some of it and you get so engrossed in it. It's like it is. It's so captivating.
I actually have a question for you.
Yeah, go on.
If someone said to you, they never watched wrestling, and you had to put on one match to them, and say, watch this match. This match will show you what wrestling's really about. What match would it be for you? I'd probably go. There's one of two. Okay,
I reckon. So I'd play them a Royal Rumble, probably 2001.
Okay.
Just because you get a little bit of everything in there, and the crowd helps.
And Kane.
Yeah. Or probably like the one that really got me.
Yeah.
Was Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair at Mania.
Oh. The one where he says, "I love you."
Sorry,
just before.
I love you.
Yeah,
and yeah,
that's a heart wrencher, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'd play that, and I'd be like, "You tell me you weren't invested in that."
Yeah,
and that the mouthing at the end, you're telling me you didn't feel a thing.
Yeah,
like, of course you did. That's what wrestling's about.
Yeah,
you build up these stories, you build up these characters, and then you get the payoff, and it's worth every second.
Yeah. So what
about you?
For anyone that doesn't know, Ric Flair was kind of like a big inspiration on Shawn Michaels. And it was a retirement match, wasn't it? So
yeah,
it was. He had
the first of many.
He had the Well, we didn't know that at the time, did we? But
no, like that would have been the hell of a way to go. Yeah, when he came back to TNA.
It was the. It was supposed to be his retirement, and it was kind of like a spiritual moment for Shawn Michaels. In the industry of wrestling, you're supposed to go out on your back, which means if you leave or retire, you're supposed to lose to put over someone younger. So for Shawn Michaels to do that with Ric Flair, that's why it was very emotional, wasn't it?
It was chilling juicy, like getting chills thinking about it. I have to go watch that match.
So there's two for me as well, I would say, and one is for pure wrestling. And the other is for spectacle, right? So the one I always go to is Mankind, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, 98.
Yeah, good choice.
Because you show anyone that, and especially if they're always like, "Oh, wrestling's fake," and they say, "Oh, wrestling's fake." No one, no one gets hurt. Blah 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 blah. You show them that match, and they're like, "Oh, damn, okay," because especially obviously the first one off the top of the cage was known about, but the second one where he gets choke slammed goes through the top of the cage. That wasn't meant to happen. Nor was
the chair.
the chair hitting him. Yeah, taking his teeth out.
Yeah,
and there's that infamous. There's that infamous picture or scene where they're filming him in the corner, and he looks around to the camera, and his mouth is all red and bloody, and there's a tooth sticking out of his lip.
Because I would say the same about the 99 I Quit match.
Right.
That was one of the first matches I ever watched.
The Rock and Mankind.
And if people say it's fake, it's like he's got his hands
tied behind his back. Yeah.
And The Rock is... How's he stopping that?
Exactly. And if you watch the Beyond the Mat documentary as well, that would only further show the proof of that, because his family was distraught.
Not fake. It's predetermined, but trust me, he's getting hit big time.
But yeah, so the other one for me would be Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. The Iron Man match. Just because that was WrestleMania 12, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's for the wrestling.
Yeah, and that's for the wrestling aspect. Just because for 60 minutes those guys go for it, and it's just some of the best wrestling spectacle you'll ever see. Like the mat skills, the pacing, the art of wrestling. It really is in that match. There's been ones since Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, and NXT. Those guys put on some of those type of matches, but no, that one for me, the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart, was kind of like also showing the new era of genuine skilled wrestling, as opposed to and there's nothing wrong with Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, but back in those days, those guys were about the character and the image first, and the wrestling second. Yeah. And the wrestling almost came first with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Maybe more so with Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels has always been about that image. He calls himself the sexy boy.
Yeah.
So
I think as well, if a match can hold your interest for 60 minutes, like you find me an episode of EastEnders that can hold you for 60 minutes.
Wow, exactly.
Just one scene.
Especially not with Danny Dyer on it.
Yeah. Like you find me anywhere where one scene can hold you for an hour.
Yeah.
Just ain't going to happen. Like people get bored after 5 minutes. You watch that match for an hour.
Yeah.
And
it's the drama they build within that hour as well, the back and forth, isn't it? It's the
the storytelling's unreal with some of these
exactly,
wrestlers.
And it is that classic baby face versus heel, the good guy versus the bad guy. That's what they always play on. You don't get that so much these days because kayfabe is kind of dead. But back in that, the good guy, the bad guy, Bret Hart was this synonymous wrestling icon that came from the Hart Foundation and Stu Hart Dungeon, and then Shawn Michaels was supposed to be the new blood, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So that match for me is just that's what I would probably show someone.
So what are you making of it currently? Have you got?
I'm not a fan. Not a fan. No, if I'm honest.
What are you making of AEW at the minute?
I think they do good stuff. I think they even though they don't say it, I think they focus too much on trying to beat WWE. And I wish they would just do their own thing, so to speak. But it's nice to see Kenny Omega getting over and doing some more stuff in there, because they kind of slept on him for a bit.
Yeah, I think they're about to strap a rocket to MJF.
Yeah,
if they haven't already.
Yeah,
he's brilliant.
He's one of the best heels we've had in a long, long time, isn't he?
Yeah, I've got a lot of time for MJF. I'm a big fan of what he's doing.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm trying to think what else have they got. I mean, they've got.
Well, they just took the Big Show on, didn't they? Which would be.
I think they got I don't know whether they need to stop that, because TNA did that when they first. And it's like, oh, look, we've got ex-WWE guys. Well, they just but you've also got MJF.
They have.
Push him, because they've never had him.
No, and they just recently got Sting back as well, didn't they?
Yeah, because Bret Hart's been there as well, and
yeah.
Was he there?
Yeah.
And then, I'm trying to think what else they've had.
Jake
Obviously,
the
they've
Snake.
got, Dustin Reynolds?
Dustin Rhodes.
I just know him as Goldust.
Yeah, Dustin Rhodes, and also Taz as
Jericho's
well.
There.
Jericho.
Yeah, Jericho's there.
Yeah. Although Jericho is one of those people you can put him anywhere and he'll reinvent himself and he'll always be really good. Like
100%.
That whole Le Champion thing was amazing. And
have you got a favourite iteration of Jericho?
it has to be. It would have originally been his like 2002, 2003 run, probably when he was like, when he used to dig on Stephanie McMahon, back in the kind of to the end of the Attitude Era. But I think after now would be the List, the era of the List.
Yeah, that was his. Well, for me, like the best. Because I fell out of love with it for a while, so I stopped watching it for a while.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and one of the first things I picked up on was the Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the thing I was like, I'm going to have to watch it. It's like Jericho is on form.
Well, and their chemistry between each other was hilarious, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was so good. Like
the like weird best friendness,
Festival of Friendship.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was one of the best parts. Again, that was one of the best things I've seen in wrestling for a long time.
Yeah, like when they come around and they hit a storyline bang on, it's really good. But then there's so much you got to sift through to get to those.
Yeah,
but yeah. What did you make of the more so take the graveyard match out of the AJ Undertaker one? What do you reckon to the Money in the Bank matches, like the proper, like, okay, this was clearly like done in takes and all that? You remember? So during the lockdown when
the recent manias,
mainly the like theatrical matches.
Yeah,
they're all theatrical, but like the actual we're in Titan Towers doing.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan
Money
at
in
all.
the Bank.
I thought it was...
I think it worked well for Taker and AJ.
And Taker, where they had that match out in the
Boneyard match.
I think wherever they had it in that kind of abandoned shed, a garage, whatever. That was a warehouse. That was amazing because it was so well done, and having him drive off on his bike at the end because it was the rebirth of the American Badass character, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think the Undertaker character feeds into that. Like, you wouldn't expect, like, for me, you don't expect to see like Otis or someone in that setting, but the Undertaker, it's fine.
Although, again, I have loved everything they did with Otis. To be honest,
yeah, I just wish they'd have done more than get him to lose the briefcase to the Miz. I wish they'd have done something with him.
Yeah,
or when him and Tucker split, do something. Don't just they've split and now leave.
Well, now Tucker's gone. They fired him. I think it's a shame that they do this a lot, don't they? I think WWE always bite off more than they can chew. So they take on too many people and then they have too many people to push. So people get left on the wayside, unfortunately. Ricochet, what they did to Ricochet's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And what they did with him and Brock Lesnar, I love Ruthless Aggression era. Brock Lesnar is one of my favorite wrestlers. He was an absolute machine because he used to actually wrestle a match. Now they've got this kind of crazy persona on him where he turns up, smashes someone in 8 seconds, and walks out again.
Yeah.
Now that's great, but every time you do that, you bury anyone that's in front of him, unless they're already someone who's got an established character like John Cena that can come back again.
Yeah, well, they did it with Kofi, didn't they? They put the belt on Kofi, and then all of a sudden, Kofi's dropped it.
Yeah, because because Brock Lesnar came along.
Yeah, like what payoff is that? Everyone's been clamouring for Kofi to get it for so long, and he drops it in like you say, 10 seconds.
I wonder.
Champion.
I wonder whether it's contract. I wonder whether it's something to do with Brock Lesnar's contract. I wonder whether...
You'd imagine he's probably quite good at negotiating now. It's like, well, I know what I'm worth. If you want me to come back, then I'm sorry, but I'm having that belt back.
Yeah, I think he probably... Yeah, exactly. He's like, I want to be champion for this amount of time a year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I won't be around.
Yeah, I suppose that happened with Goldberg as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, for me, I mean, I think it's a very love it or hate it thing. I was a massive fan. I mean, I am a massive fan of Bray Wyatt, be it the like
me too
cult leader, and then going on to the Fiend stuff's amazing. And the fact that Goldberg beat him is like, what on earth are you doing?
Yeah, they spent
like, how many times can you drop the ball?
They spent
on
how
this
long?
Guy?
Spent how long building that character just to bury him? Yeah, by one returning old fossil.
Yeah, it's like he's so good, and everything he does is it. You give him the Firefly Funhouse, and they're selling merch at £500 a box, and it's flying.
Yep.
Like, he's so popular, and then Goldberg, who no one wants to see. Like, don't get me wrong, he was great, and Goldberg will always be a legend, but nowadays, do you really want to see Goldberg get one over on
Especially
Bray
not
Wyatt?
when you,
It's like,
especially when you look at matches like that Undertaker match in Saudi or wherever it was, and
oh god,
utter
I'm surprised no one
shambles.
died.
Yeah, he almost
Like, dropped him on his fucking
yeah,
head.
he dropped him on his head, didn't he?
Have you watched the Undertaker documentary?
Yeah,
You watched that?
great.
Oh,
That
that's
was emotional.
yeah, yeah. See, go if you don't like wrestling,
Yeah.
and we've not just sold it to you. You don't have no. There's no hope for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you again, I would say if you do want to, if you're listening to this, you never watch wrestling, you do want to kind of get into it. Watch some of the documentaries. They're always very humanizing, and they always, will show a different side to it as well.
Yeah,
My partner wasn't really into wrestling until we got together, and yeah, same thing really. It's a kind of, I showed her a lot of the documentaries and so on and so forth, and through that she's gained to love it. So
yeah. I mean, my wife's not a fan of it, but she definitely sat and watched the whole of that Undertaker documentary.
yeah.
Like, it just gets you in it. Like you say, it puts a whole different spin on it, because it's like, oh, he's actually a human.
Well, that's
like, I mean,
exactly.
like, yeah. Drop the character, drop the persona, and you actually see what goes onto it. And he's like, he was doing it for 30 years, and his body is so broken.
Yeah,
but
exactly. I mean, that's the thing.
He just keeps going.
If you look past the characters, look past the characters and see the person. That person has put that amount of years into their life, into their career, that amount of time on the road, away from their family. And you see, it's real. When you see what they're doing, it's real. And so, yes, what you can say, whatever's in the ring is fake, but when they come out of the ring and the person they are, and the integrity and the strength that goes into being who they are, and for so long, that's as real as it gets, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, I think as well, the emotion you can see, like Edge's first retirement speech.
Yeah,
there was nothing fake about that.
No.
He's like, he might be a good actor, but he ain't that good.
No.
He was shot to bits. Like, it really got to him. Like, the whole Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels match, like, you could tell that it was just raw emotion. But
agreed.
Yeah, so, all right, well, let's get... So, I suppose we can split it in half, can't we? Because I'm going to ask you favourite wrestler now, but obviously, if you've been watching wrestling, and wrestling's been going since forever, it's going to be a bit difficult. So, how do you want to split it? Because I was going to say Attitude Era to the end of the Ruthless Aggression.
I'll give you
onwards.
I'll give you the three era ones, because there's the golden era.
Yeah, go on then.
There's the golden era, there's the Attitude Era, and then there's modern era, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
cool. That's a better way.
That's four actually. So there would because there's Ruthless Aggression era as well, and the modern era. I was a massive Ultimate Warrior fan growing up. Obviously now as an adult, I'm like, oh god. But as the spectacle and the kind of atmosphere and aura around Undertaker when you're a kid, was there. It was there was a reason why he was one of the biggest draws for the company. Crazy as a box of frogs. But when you're a kid, you don't see that. You see the intensity, you see the colors, and you see the character. And he used to run in, kill, to kill everyone, but smash a match through, win in massive, style, and then run out again. It would be like, yeah. So Attitude Era, it for me would always be Mankind, Mick Foley.
Okay, yeah.
I actually ended up picking up. I was a massive Kane fan originally, and I still love Kane.
I'd have to say Kane was one of mine.
Kane was amazing. Again, that image and the presence of Kane was amazing. But I just I bought both of Mick Foley Mankind's books, and I read them and they're some of the only books. I'm not a big book reader. They're some of the only books I've ever read, and I grew to love him as a person, and I love the Mankind character. I love the humor they put into him. I love the hardcore aspect of Cactus Jack, and I love the origin story of Dude Love. So yeah, Mick Foley would be my Attitude Era guy. There's loads though. I do love a lot of them, but yeah, I would say
do you have like a mid to undercard Attitude Era guy? Because I was always a massive Ken Shamrock fan. Like, so I don't know, like, so if you take the top, the cream of the crop off,
yeah.
Did you have one that like, because Ken Shamrock was always one. Gangrel was I did like a Gangrel match.
So back in so he would have been mid card, or at that point. Later on, he was a front runner, but JBL back when he was Bradshaw.
Yeah.
I was a massive Bradshaw fan. I used to love, again, Bradshaw would come in, his big ass Texan, and you throw down that clothesline from hell. So I used to love Bradshaw, and then obviously he turned into JBL. But yeah, back when it was Attitude Era, Bradshaw most definitely. Maybe even like I think D'Lo Brown as well was always a favourite.
Yeah, he was good.
But yeah, so moving on to Ruthless Aggression, Brock Lesnar. Up until he left the company, well, probably even before he left, to be honest, because that WrestleMania 20 match was terrible.
That was the one with Goldberg.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was around this time that I tend to stop watching.
Right.
So I was aware of what was happening, but I wouldn't watch it as religiously as I had.
Same for me.
And it was it was around this time where I'd kind of got other things like that I was interested in, and I didn't like dislike wrestling. Like I've always got a soft spot for it, but this is where I stopped really paying massive attention.
Yeah.
And I'd just be like I've gone back on the network and watched some Royal Rumbles. I'm like, who the fuck is that? I've no idea. Like you get these mid carders from like 2008, 2009. I wouldn't have a clue who they were.
Well, the only way of knowing who people were is because you played the video game. It's like that, when because I've always bought every single up until 2K20. I bought every single wrestling game that came out every year. And sometimes, even when I wasn't back then, I was only ever watching WrestleManias and Royal Rumbles. So when I used to pick up the game, I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
I think it was 2K18 or something, and I was like, who the fuck are the Ascension?
Yeah.
Like, and you get those characters, like the mid to late noughties.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know who any of these guys are. Like, I know
like
the big
Lance
guys.
Cade or people like that, or Heidenreich. All those. Gene Snitsky.
Okay. Yeah, Snitsky.
They were some dark times in wrestling, my friend, I'll tell you.
Yeah, like, because I'm aware of them now, because where I got back into wrestling, I've gone back and I've watched it, and I was like, yeah, it doesn't get any better.
No.
Like, there's a reason I must have switched off here.
It started getting better again around 2008 onwards, I think, 2009, when CM Punk came in.
Punk started yeah.
They got CM Punk in, they did the straight edge thing, and then he started just being Punk. And then that, 2010, onwards, it was the Punk era, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. So did you say one for Ruthless Aggression?
Brock Lesnar was my guy up until, I would say, up until the Eddie Guerrero match.
Right.
Because even that Eddie Guerrero match was amazing with Brock. Up until then, his whole turning up, one of the best debuts I've ever seen was when Brock Lesnar just turned up. And I think it was Spike, wasn't it? They just he jumps off the top of the ropes and Brock just catches him in midair and then kind of lets him fall and then literally lets him dangle and then literally lifts him back up again and then just plows him. And it's just like, oh my God. And I think it was Al Snow, was it, as well, that comes into the ring and he just does this, he just literally suplexes him straight into that bin. And it's just, yes. And you got Paul Heyman screaming on the outside. It's just one of the best debuts ever, and it was such a machine. He was green as grass, but my God, it's no wonder that when they saw him, they just went, "Oh, we have got money here."
Yeah, right.
Like this,
we're printing money.
Yeah, this guy is money. Like, because he just had that presence. He doesn't really like people that much anyway, and that shows because when he's just very like flat and just but so aggressive and so and such for such a big guy, man. That guy could just just like jump around the ring. Obviously, he used to be able to do the stuff off the top rope. So he was an all rounder. It's just such a shame what they do with him now. But I guess he's older. I get it. But it's just a shame. I'd love to see an old school Brock Lesnar again.
What I do like about it is when he's actually in like a match which is competitive, he's actually really good at the other side of it. So he's not just like, we know he can blast through people, but when he's actually got someone that's giving it back to him, he's actually really good at selling.
He is good at selling, yeah.
And it's like, I think that's so underrated with Brock Lesnar because everyone sees the absolute machine that just runs through people. It's like, but watch him when he gets into something. He's really good at it. Like he can do that side of it really well.
Yeah, and he has the thought process of wrestling as well. He does have a good mind for it.
Yeah, he knows what works and he knows what's
and that's why that's why it kind of sucks that they just blast him through 8 seconds to 1 minute matches these days.
Yeah.
The only time sorry guys, I was going to say the only time I actually enjoyed that was when he did it to Cena, because I think that was back at the time when he did it to Cena. It was still back in the time that Cena was the annoying baby face. He was so green, not green, but so good and so like over that it was kind of annoying. I don't know if you remember that era of Cena where it was just
that was when I started kind of in and out.
Right. It was kind of like everything. They just put Cena, the belt on Cena all the time. And Cena always, and it was kind of where he gained that reputation of kind of killing. Again, he used to be the person that would kind of kill a push, because they would literally, they decided they decided they still wanted to just have Cena, so they would put Cena over everyone, and then so everyone was like, this sucks. Fair play to Cena. He actually ended up standing up to the company and asking them to let him put some people over. And that's where you see when he's had the feuds with Kevin Owens, he had the feud with AJ Styles, he's had feuds with a fair few people that have come through the door now to put them over. And he's been quite vocal about, people taking the piss out of him for not putting people over, but then he'll stand there in the ring and list all these people that he's breaking the fourth wall. Kayfabe telling the crowd and telling the haters, I've put all these people over and you still hate me.
I think that's where, because I don't know what it stemmed from, but have you seen that clip where Brock comes back and he just lobs the belt at Vince?
In the back,
and he storms out. And I reckon Brock's probably like that now. He's like, look, I ain't got long to go at this rate. Maybe it's time that you get guys to go over me. And then, they beat Brock. They must be good. I think probably it's frustration. From what I gather, I believe that was part of it. It was this frustration that he didn't believe that he should have won that match. And do you know what match was that? Do you know?
I can't remember. Who it was, but I do remember that is supposed to be part of it. That he was frustrated that he didn't actually think he should have had the strap. And he just took it because that's what Vince wanted.
Yeah, like maybe he knows he's being used just as a money machine. Yeah. Now, whereas if he's got respect for the industry, I suppose maybe he wants to do the classic, look, I'll go out on my back and put someone over. But Vince is like, no, you win that belt and we're printing money. Like,
for sure. I
guess so. So the next we done Ruthless Aggression.
And
current
modern era Bray Wyatt, but then again, they've ruined him in my opinion. Yeah. The Fiend, they just pushed the Fiend too hard, and it all got a little bit too silly. And then, on the flip side of that, they buried him. It's like,
it never made for me. I don't know whether I'd have liked it. So the Firefly Funhouse was great. I was a big fan of like the cult leader Wyatt family.
Yeah,
I really that.
I love that.
And then they fed him to Randy Orton. It's like, what are you doing? And then the maggots on the ring at Mania and stuff. It's like, no.
Yeah, the
just
Orton
get
match.
him to be the cult leader. Get a decent stable. Get him to be the cult leader. Get him to get over the Undertaker.
Yeah,
that would have been it. That's what they. Hindsight's great and all that.
Yeah.
And then Firefly Funhouse is like, okay, they can't fuck this up. Look how good it is. They cannot mess this up.
Yeah.
I would have done it a bit like Demon Finn Balor and been like, right, Bray's going to do all the fighting.
Yeah.
If he's really in a match, the Fiend's coming.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
put
like
the Fiend
split
in.
personality thing. Yeah, that would have been good,
Yeah.
I think. That would have been good.
Not put the Fiend in and then give him the belt after like 2 matches and then make him lose it. It's like you killed him as... I mean, his championship belt was awful.
Yeah.
I don't know what you thought about
Yeah,
that.
it was, yeah.
What have you done? Just stretch his mask out and made him wear it around his neck?
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah.
It would have been good, yeah. It would have been good if they had him. So he was Bray Wyatt, and then the more and more, kind of like the Hulk in a way. Like, you know how the Hulk. I don't know if you know much about the Hulk in Marvel Universe, but like with the Hulk, if the more damage he takes, the angrier and bigger he gets. Yeah. So it would have been cool in a way if they'd done that with Bray, where the more damage he took in a match, or like the more punishment he took in a match, it would get to like a certain point, and if he got too much damage taken, he would turn into the Fiend.
Yeah, because I'm sure you could knock him under the ring for a minute while he gets his mask on. Like, it's not impossible.
No, it would have been great.
Kill the lights, do something, get one of the Wyatt family to come and cause a distraction or whatever. You can get that done. For
sure. Because it would have created so many opportunities for the crowd to wonder when he was going to turn into the Fiend, as opposed to just being a Fiend from the get-go. And also, it would have given more presence to the Fiend, in my opinion.
Yeah, like for me, I don't know why. I mean, I wouldn't have put him back with Randy Orton. I think that was done. I get why they've done it, but
there was no one else.
The Randy Orton thing, like, and what would have been if they'd have kept him as like the Wyatt family, and then he turns into the Fiend or whatever. They could have actually played into the Sister Abigail and got Alexa Bliss to do that, as opposed to whatever she's doing sat at the moment.
I kind of like what she's doing, but it's again, if she just did it on her own and it wasn't attached to the Fiend, it would have been a hell of a lot better. But because of the way they've done it,
I would have loved to have seen her actually play Sister Abigail and been like, right, that's the actual character now. We know who it is. Not because that fucking thing where he's on the Titantron, just him wearing like a head veil or something. That was fucking weird.
Yeah. You
remember that? Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Like, but no. Get Bliss to actually play Abigail. That would have been cool.
But I think that's just that's WWE all over these days, isn't it? Though. So I got a good little segue, because obviously we were going to talk about Anvil next. I got a good little segue actually. So, the people that wrote Bray Wyatt's song, the band that wrote Bray Wyatt's song. You remember the original Wyatt family song?
Yeah. Like melody.
Something about the flies, yeah.
Yeah.
They were meant to play Anvil.
Really?
Yeah, back in 2016, I think it was. They were meant to play Anvil. And something came up with their tour where they couldn't come over in the end. And so it got cancelled. But yeah, we were going to have the band that played Bray Wyatt's theme music play at Anvil.
That would have been cool.
Which would have been amazing. That would have been wicked, wouldn't it? So everyone turning up as Bray Wyatt. Again, back in the day when the Wyatt family were hot. That would have been wicked. It's get everyone turn up with lanterns and.
Oh, yeah, mate, that would have been sick. You imagine them playing that song down in the basement and just lights out.
All the lights out. Yeah, it would have been amazing. Yeah, but oh well.
It might still happen. You never know. Are they still going?
I believe so. Yeah. Well, his music now is just a converted version, isn't it? It's just.
Yeah, I'm not. I really like the look of the Wyatt family. Like, I love the lamp and the music. It just like the aesthetic of it was brilliant.
Can I just say? Did you just say that you love lamp?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that's what I just said. Yeah.
So the Anchorman fan of me couldn't let that one go, I'm afraid.
No, that's fine. I'm sure I can find the clip. I'll throw that in there. So, yeah. I mean, that would be a segue into film, but I don't think we're going to talk about it.
No, well, it's a segue into Anvil, isn't it? If they were supposed to play Anvil.
Now we're at the Anvil. So how did the managing of the Anvil come about? Was that something you'd always planned on doing, or was it just, like we were speaking about earlier with the community thing, you were like, well, Bournemouth needs a venue, I'll do it.
No, I was working in the illustrious King Bong. I was in
I remember that place.
Yeah. In 2011, I kind of quit. So 2007 till 2010, I was doing the promotion stuff in Bournemouth with the Gander and the Metropole. I was running a DJ night called In Rock We Trust for Fridays and Saturday nights. at the Metropole on the Lansdowne, and then that went down in 2009. 2010, I was running Champions venue up on Norwich Avenue West, and then that went down.
Where Zephyr is now?
Flats now. And
is it?
Yeah. Weirdly, Keith from Sound Circus lives there. One of the converted flats. I feel like it was some kind of like victory lap for him, but there you go. That's another whole story. And then so I kind of I just needed a job, and King Bong was something easy to do, chilled out, obviously. So I did that, and then someone came in who I'd met obviously from DJing for 3 years, and they were like, "Oh, I'm working for Buffalo over in Winton," which was a bar, a kind of like an indie student rock bar in Winton. And then they were said the owner of Buffalo is opening up a new bar on the Lansdowne called the Anvil, and he wants to do like a blues bar, and they're looking for. He offered me the assistant manager job, but I can't take it because I'm probably going to be going on traveling and so on and so forth. And he said, but I did put you forward for it, and he's very interested to talk to you. And I was like, well, you know what? I've been wanting to get out of, the bong business. I'm joking. I wanted to get out of working at King Bong. And so I was like, yeah, I'll come and have a chat with him. And we went and had a chat with him, and I spoke about it. Took my CV. When I say a CV, I have like a photo album of all my gigs and shows and stuff I ever did.
Right,
as like A6 flyers in a
I
photo
suppose you call
album.
that a portfolio more
Yeah,
than a CV,
I took my portfolio, basically.
Yeah.
And we chatted for a bit, and he told me his idea, and I said, listen, there's something that we had in Bournemouth with Metropole that we don't have anymore. And if you really want to break this and do really well with it, paint your walls red and make us a rock bar. If you want to do this.
So when was this? 2010?
This was the end of 2011.
Okay.
I was like, look, if you want to do this, because he wanted it to be a blues bar. And I was like, look, if you want to do, there's a gap in the market right now. We had a great following with the Metropole and the Gander. We don't have a rock bar in Bournemouth. I was like, paint the walls red, turn it into a rock bar, and I guarantee you it will work. And he agreed. And I
thank fuck you had that conversation,
right,
with him, mate.
Right.
So on behalf of a lot of bands that have cut their teeth for the Anvil, thank fuck you had that conversation
because it was going to be a blues bar. It gets better than that. So when I joined, he didn't want there to be gigs. He wanted it to be mainly just a bar. It wasn't a side of the things that he was used to, and so he just wanted it to be just a bar. And I was like, we got to do gigs. And I convinced him to begin with for it to be 4 gigs a month. And we've not looked back since. I think there was like, we did 4 gigs the first month. And then after that, it went up to like 6. And then 3 years down the line after that, I think we were doing like 17 gigs a month. It's like... and it's, the gigs are one of the things that keeps us going. The gigs is one of the things that has made us who we are. Obviously the Anvil was synonymous with being a late night bar, with partying and whatnot. But it's the gig side of it that keeps us going, in my opinion.
Yeah, every band that we've ever played with, I mean, Erica Drive love playing the Anvil. Like we've got such a soft spot for that place. And every band that we bring from out of town and say, right, we're playing at the Anvil, they love it. Like there's never a bad word about it.
Nice.
So if you are listening and you're in a band, that's the place to go. If you want to play a Bournemouth show, I'll leave some. I don't know. I won't leave links because they'll get pestering. But
well, I mean, we're easy to find. If you just type in Anvil Rock Bar Bournemouth, we'll come up. I think it's. Do you know what it's like? So for anyone who doesn't know what Anvil is, we're actually only a 100 capacity venue. So we're 100 up, 100 down, basically 200 capacity for the building. So it's 100 for the bar, 100 for the venue. We don't. So it's not. It's not a huge venue. You wouldn't know that by some of the bands that have come through, but I think that's a testament to the promoters we have, B, the sound men that we use, and 3, the rigs that we have. So in the venue as well, we do have a good setup. We were literally in there yesterday. We're doing an inventory to reopen soon. 17th of May, we're reopening. We're doing it. We were down there cleaning everything up because it's been laying dormant for 6 months, so everything's gathered dust. Cleaning all the equipment, doing an inventory, and even Nick, the sound man, was like, "How have you got this rig in this room? Like, this rig is ridiculous for this room."
Am I right in thinking it recently? I mean, not recently, but within the last couple. Because when Erica Drive first played, I'm sure we used a different rig to the one you got now. Has it changed recently?
2015.
I'm sure Nick said something changed about it.
2015, we changed it.
That.
We changed the stage. Actually, we gutted out downstairs and made it bigger. If you remember,
because there used to be like a bar, or the sound booth used to be like right in the middle. Where the merch
so there used to be a big wall with a weird wolf hog on it.
Was it a bar, or was it just like a cupboard?
It was a bar originally with a hatch on it. We used about 4 times, and then it became a storage room for the band stuff. And then it was just kind of a storage room for us stuff anyway. And then we were like, nah, look, we want more space. We'd always wanted it. We wanted more space for the stage as well. So we pulled the speakers off the stage, stood them up, so that there was more space, because the speakers were the bass speakers were led down. Like, so there was only a small gap in between. And so we took them, flipped them upwards so that we got the height with the speakers now. And so it made more space on the stage, and then we just knocked that.
Maybe that's why I'm thinking it was different.
And that was
just moved stuff
2018, around. I think. And then we knocked the wall out as well, so it made more space for the merch and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I'm
gonna give a shout out to Nick, who does the sound.
Yeah, he's great.
Well, I mean, he does the sound for the shows that Erica Drive play there. Like, he's brilliant at making things sound a lot. Well, I mean, for Erica Drive's sake, he makes it sound a lot better than we probably are.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think he's like that. I think I would say that most bands would say that, though, right?
Yeah, and as a singer who, like, I wear in-ears, and Nick nails the sound. Like, even at acoustic shows that I've done with Nick, he will always nail the sound, and he's not one of these people that seems to fuck about with it while you're playing.
No,
because like I've had my in-ears in, and you can literally hear somebody's trying to time reverb.
Yeah,
it's like, you've never heard this song before, mate. That's really fucking distracting. Nick, brilliant. So good sound. If you're in Bournemouth, get Nick to do your sound.
He's he's our in-house sound guy anyway. So we always try and use him first. We do also have Steve, RMV, Steve of Dreads. And Steve's great as well. He's only a small notch behind Nick, in my opinion, and also a super lovely guy.
I think I've had Steve do sound for a couple of shows, but I mean, no disrespect to Steve, I just don't know him as well as I know Nick. Yeah.
I think with Nick, the thing with Nick, I don't want to go on about Nick too much, because he'll go on about himself. I don't want to give him. I don't want to make his head huge.
I can always cut this bit out.
Yeah, please, just cut this out. I don't want him to use this against me forever.
Yeah, we'll just be like, Nick's all right.
That Nick guy, and then just cut it there. He's a nerd when it comes to the audio stuff, man. Like, it's like talking to someone, when you talk to someone who's massively into computers, and they almost, when they describe things, you could imagine that they're basically talking in binary. Yeah. When you talk to Nick, he's basically talking in frequencies. So it's like everything with him is about frequencies and about, the frequency of this and that, and obviously that doesn't work with this. That I'm just like, what are you on about? Yeah. Like, I don't know. I have to get into layman term it for me, because I don't understand what he's saying. But then that's what makes it work. He knows what, if something's not right, as something sounds wrong, if something sounds too bassy, something sounds too trebly, he knows it's because of a frequency thing.
Yeah, he did it. I remember there was like there was a hiss coming from one of the foldbacks once, and he came up to the mic that I was using, cupped his hands around, and he's like, "Oh, it's too high at like 500 hertz or whatever."
Yeah, there you go.
Goes back to the desk and gets rid of it. I'm like, how the fuck does he know?
Yeah,
like, he's
science.
literally all he's done is put his hands around the mic.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh yeah, whatever." I don't even know what 500 hertz means. Is that bassy or treble? I don't know. But he would go back to the desk, cut a bit of whatever he needed to cut, and it was fine. So yeah, he knows his stuff.
But
so I guess one of the questions that I wanted to ask about the Anvil is, well, I guess it's venues in general. So you're going to have hundreds of bands come through a year.
Yeah.
What are, for any new bands and or old bands, you must have some pet peeves that if a band is in your venue, so, I mean, we can go on as long as you want, or do you want to limit it? I mean, it's entirely up to you.
No, I can give a quick rundown as to what not to do.
If I'm a band, I'm booked to play the Anvil, right? I don't want to upset Bear.
Yeah.
What do I avoid doing in your venue?
Avoid doing? Okay.
Yeah, so what's the things like a band like
avoid doing or should be doing?
Maybe we'll do
Both?
a couple of each. So like band to band, if it's you're on first, ideally you want them to stay around for the whole thing. You don't want to be that band that we'll play and then we'll pack up and fuck off.
Like, that's a respect thing. So when you're cutting teeth, as they put it, as you're coming through, you do have to pay. You have to pay a little bit of respect. You have to do. Sometimes you do have to stay and obviously support other bands, and that's all part of it. But also the biggest part, whenever anyone whinges about this, when they're a band and they're like, we shouldn't have to stick around. I'm like, well, okay, it's not about that. And if a promoter has to rely on bands to fill their crowd, that's also damaging as well for the show, because those people that are watching are there because they have to be. But the thing that I always kind of impress to these bands is network. Make friends with the people that you're playing with. Talk to them, get to know them. They're going to be from somewhere else in the country. They're going to know other people. If you network with that and you gain a friendship, you gain a contact, because you've stuck around, because you've paid some respect, then it goes a long way. It really does. It makes a big difference. To go back to one of the things a band should do. So that is one of them. Obviously, pay your dues, have respect to the other bands, especially bands that they're playing. The headliners and stuff. One of the things bands should always do, and it's the first thing they should always do, is promote. It shouldn't be just left to a promoter. We don't live in a world now where a promoter can book a gig and then shout about it on the street with flyers and it make a difference. We don't live in that world anymore. We live in a very saturated world of internet and social media, and it's a joint effort now. Everybody has to pitch in. If a promoter isn't doing their job, then obviously fair enough. They should be pulled up on that. But there's still sometimes that stigma of a band saying that they shouldn't have to promote, and that's not true.
I can imagine you get the bands that come through and it's like, oh, how many tickets have we sold? 5, because you've done no fucking promotion. Oh, what's the promoter been doing? Oh, he's been working his bollocks off.
Yeah.
But as a band, you can have 5,000 people following your Facebook page. You haven't mentioned it once.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's when you've... Why do you... Yeah, exactly. Why do you want to be in a band? Why do you want to do what you want to do? Why do you want to play the show if you're not even going to tell people you're doing it?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if you don't... If in my opinion, if you don't put those things in, it really shows as to whether you want it or not. And if you don't want it, that's fine. Don't waste my time, because there's so many other bands that will take that spot. Yeah. There's so many other bands that are willing to play and willing to, to just get their half hour to show what they're worth, that don't have a chance to come through. And then once they get their foot in the door and they're respectful and they do, and they do a little bit of promotion and work with us, not for us, but with us, then it goes a long way. And then we're like, those guys were good. They were punctual. Their attitudes were right. They did a bit of promotion. It doesn't even matter. Again, you say about tickets. It doesn't matter whether they don't sell tickets. If they can't sell tickets because they generally don't have a crowd yet, that's fine. As long as you can see that they put that effort in.
Yeah.
But, that's fine. As long as you know that they're doing what they can to get themselves out there, that's respected. That's noticed and respected, and that's fine. It's the bands that I mean, again, I don't understand how anyone really can rock up to a place like the Anvil and have an ego, because we're a 100 capacity venue. It's like you're not as much as we're loved and as much as we're a notable venue on the scene and in the UK and that not. We are still just a 100 capacity venue. And if you're going to rock up to the Anvil with an ego, it's not gonna work. It doesn't make sense. Like you want to go and sell out 1,000 capacity venue down the road, and maybe I'll let your ego go. Other than that, ground yourself back to where you are, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we always try, and I don't know if it's something that you agree with or disagree with, whenever we're at a venue as a band, we always try, and I mean, if you're playing, chances are you're going to get given some sort of crate of beer or whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll always put money behind the bar.
Yeah.
So we'll always buy drinks, maybe not all of them because we've got that crate of beer to drink, but we'll always try and actively put money behind the bar, because we think, well, if we don't do that and the bar loses money, or whatever, the bar don't make enough to cover their staff costs, they're going to cut down on staff, they're going to cut down on gigs, it's going to be shit for everyone.
Yeah.
So even me putting a £5 behind the bar, there's 4 people in my band, that's 20 quid behind the bar, then we encourage every other band to do it, so that could be 100 quid behind the bar.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's, I mean, I suppose it all comes down to a respect thing. Like, yeah, you're at the venue, if you get given a crate of beer or whatever, don't think, oh, great, I don't have to pay for me fucking drinks. It's like, well, that bar staff ain't going to pay for itself.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, obviously, in an ideal world, I would feed and water every person that came through that door. But we're a business, and we're not a business that makes a lot of money. We're an independent business that kind of gets by, and we the gigs are up and down, like and that's probably the same everywhere in the UK. Obviously it's going to be better when we come out the lockdown, but then we'll also be going up against oversaturation, because everyone will be gagging to do something, so everybody's going to be trying to have a go. But yeah, no, it's expectation, I think, is what you're saying, isn't it? And there shouldn't be any expectation. We don't expect people to put money over the bar. If I could, like I say, in an ideal world, I would obviously give everyone free drink and free food. But we can't. We have our overheads, and it does always make me laugh. Well, it's not just as a venue, but as a promoter. There always is this stigma that somehow a promoter sat on a mountain of cash, and we're rich and basically cracking the whip against the bands who are making no money. I mean, it's so not true. Like, most of the time, promoters lose money. They're not making any money, and any money that comes out of their pocket or any of the money that's going to the bands is coming out of their pockets. Now, don't get me wrong. If you guarantee a band that you're going to pay them this and give them this, that's on you. If you've guaranteed a band, look, I'm going to pay you this guarantee and beer, then you've walked into a contract, and that should be
that's your
upheld.
bed,
However, if you say to a band, look, I don't know, I'll be able to, if I can give you this or whatever, depending on the show, and that doesn't happen because the promoter doesn't make any money, there shouldn't then be that expectation. Well, we played, so you need to still give us something. Well, it's like, well, we've also not made any money and given you a platform to reach new people. So it's kind of it's hitting, it's back and forth, isn't it? It's we're trying to do our thing and support the scene and give bands opportunities. If sometimes we can't pay because we're out of pocket because the gig's gone bad, we're not trying to stitch anyone up. That's just the way it is. And if we and the only way to get out of that would be to put ourselves into debt. How long is that going to be sustained for? So if band, it's like, well, if you want us to do that as a promoter, then how long before you just won't have anyone to put shows on because everyone will go out of business or bankrupt or will lose too much money to make it work,
Yeah. I think the last thing that I would mention, and this goes from and I think a lot of these points just come back to the respect. If you're at a venue, respect it.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't there, you ain't playing a show, mate.
No. And that it does make me laugh. It's always the people that you never see. That as soon as there's something not there anymore, because I've gone through a few transitions now, obviously, of venues and nights disappearing and bands disappearing as well.
Yeah.
They're like, I really missed that band, or I really missed that night, or I really missed that venue. It's like, well, you weren't there when it was going.
Yeah.
So
people always they cry over stuff that they never used.
Yeah. People take things for granted. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Don't take things for granted. Support and appreciate what you have when you have it. And if the pandemic has taught us anything, it was literally shown us that because 1 minute it can be there and the next minute it won't be.
Yeah, I mean, you'll only miss it when it's gone.
Yeah, because there's a lot of venues and bands that are coming out of this pandemic that aren't coming out of this pandemic, by the way.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of bands that have broken up because of it. There's a lot of because the band members have decided they don't want to carry on doing music anymore. There's a lot of venues that have not survived. I mean, there's still venues out there now that are on the red list through the Music Venue Trust, what they call, that are in danger of losing their premises because of everything, because of not getting grants. We applied. So get this, we applied for a cultural grant to reinvest into our loss of earnings for the last year and a bit. And we were told that we were not culturally significant enough.
Fuck's sake.
To be accepted. Which is crazy considering the amount of international, national bands that come through the door with us, what we provide for the local area, and everything, and so on and so forth. To be told that we're not culturally, it's like, oh, okay.
It's crazy because, even if you get, because I mean, some of the bands that I know, at least Dom's put on there, some of those bands you're thinking they could have probably gone across the road to the fire station. But then are you going to put them, if there's any question, do you want to put them in a fire station and have a 3/4 capacity show, or put them in the Anvil and it's going to be fucking packed? And then even if you do a matinee or something and do 2 shows.
Well, one perfect example of this was Cancer Bats. So Cancer Bats originally played Anvil back, I think, when it was iBar. And then they came back again some years later and they played Bournemouth again, but they played the old fire station. And when they played the old fire station the last time, they were like, why are we not playing over there? We want to play in that small venue again. Yeah. So when they came out the next time, they came and played Anvil. And they were like, oh, we're so happy to be back. And of course, by then now, iBar, no offense to iBar, but they weren't really set up properly as a venue. More as a basement with the potential to play put live music on. Whereas we've obviously, like I said, with our rig and stuff, we've gone full hog with it. So they were like, oh man, it's like what it was before, but even better now because you got proper monitors and proper PA.
You're ready for it.
And it was such a good show. And again, bands like Beartooth coming through, and look at Beartooth now. Huge.
Bury Tomorrow did. I mean, when Bury Tomorrow were massive, they did the Stage Invasion tour.
They did, yeah.
And they had, because they did a matinee as well, didn't
they did 2. And then Heart of a Coward, another one.
Yeah.
Who are obviously doing very well now. And yeah.
There was, I suppose A played there.
A,
2.
Yeah.
And
Kid Bookie as well.
I've been pestering Dom to get While She Sleeps there. I think that would be fucking insane.
That would be amazing.
Imagine getting While She Sleeps now.
That would be amazing. They're the type of band that would play at Anvil as well.
100%. Then they'd play there and fucking love it.
Because they're very much ground roots band themselves, aren't they? They're not signed to a record label. They run their own show and
Yeah, the work ethic of that band. I think any band should aspire to have that.
I would 100% agree on that.
Like they put in so much effort, and they clearly love what they're doing, but they're so like everything is. They just put so much effort into it.
Yeah, they do it right, don't they? I mean,
100%.
To get where they are, almost off their own back without like record labels and stuff, is very commendable.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, so one more thing I was going to say is, and it goes band to band to sound engineer, band to venue. Don't nick shit. Like I remember I showed up.
I think that's like a life advice in general, right?
Because I showed up to a show once, and in my bag I'd forgotten the kettle lead for my amp head, and I went to Nick, and I'm good friends with Nick, so I said, "Look, can I borrow one, mate? I'll give it back." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, it's fine. I don't lend them to people." And I can imagine that people do think, "Oh, fuck, I've forgotten that. I've got 3 more shows. I can't be asked to go to a music shop and buy one.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back to this venue. I'll fucking pocket it."
Yeah,
don't do that.
That's what.
Don't do that.
That does happen, yeah.
Like, don't do it. And if you break something, admit you broke it and pay for it.
It's the people that turn up. It's the bands and people that turn up with nothing, man. That's what it cracks me up when. You know, when you turn a band, or you promote a show, you talk to the band, you're like, right. And again, this isn't something that has to happen, but we do it because we're a small venue, and it always makes sense. And it's kind of the written rule as a gig goes anyway, and that everybody kind of shares backline, and whether that be our in-house backline or the headliners if they want to use their own stuff. But it's mad, the amount of bands that turn up and they don't even have a guitar head. Like some of the stories I've heard where they turn up and they're like, "Can I borrow your guitar head?" Or can I? Some guys even like, "Can I borrow your guitar?"
Yeah, like I don't understand how you don't organise backline before the date. Like I occasionally get it. Like if you've bought a cab and there's a cab on stage, go and say, "Look, rather than putting both up there, should we share?"
Yeah, it mainly happens with the drum kit, doesn't it? It's like the drum kit's the biggest part of taking up space, and if a headliner agrees to share the kit, it's a blessing because it's like, we don't have to
organise your fucking backline before you show up at the venue, and bring your own guitar because
it's a personal thing anyway.
Yeah. If anyone ever said to me, "Can I borrow your guitar?" I'll be like, "You ain't fucking playing the show because you're not having this."
No, right?
Like,
it's a personal thing. You grow an attachment to an instrument.
Like for me, an amp is an amp. Like if you break it, I'll get another one.
Yeah.
My guitar, if you fucking break this, I'm breaking your neck.
It's attached to your hands, isn't it? It's a personal thing, you know.
It's part of your stage. It's part of your, I suppose, your stage costume.
Exactly.
Like,
it's an extension of yourself.
Back, no one really sees that.
Yeah, it's literally an extension of yourself, isn't it? The guitar, you're holding it as an extension. Whereas obviously the amp and stuff as well. Don't get me wrong, that costs like £1,000 sat behind you, and if that gets dropped or knocked or whatever, then that's a very expensive mistake. But there is a certain attachment you gain with a guitar.
Yeah, your guitar is your identity.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, mate. So I've realised that we've been talking for nearly 2 hours, so I'm going to start winding this down because I've got to shoot off. But it's been lovely to talk to you. I've got 3 quick-fire questions, okay?
Cool.
So I'm not going to ask you to rank them because I think ranking music doesn't really work.
Okay.
So your top 5 bands at the moment.
At the moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Gojira.
Yep.
Loathe. There's a band called Earn, which people probably don't know about, the guys from Chapters and Hang the Bastard. Stake Number 8, who are now called Stake. So is that 3? 4.
That would be 4.
Conjurer.
Yeah, one more.
Conjurer. Be the 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm putting together a playlist for every guest that comes on Shape Through Fate podcast. We're putting together a playlist.
Cool.
It's got a set of rules. So where I'm going to get an eclectic mix of people on from different genres, they're putting one song on a playlist. Rule of this playlist is you can play it on shuffle, but you have to listen to it. You can't skip anything.
Okay.
Because I want to try and get lots of genres in people's ears. Like it or lump it, music's subjective. So you might dislike a song, but somebody else, it might be their favourite song. So what song are you going to put on this playlist?
I'm going to put a song on because it kind of ties into my music taste and also with the gaming. Because I used to always put this on whenever I was playing New Vegas, and I used to spawn a Deathclaw, and that'd be Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison.
Okay. Return of the Mac. Cool. I'm writing that down because I ain't going to remember it. All right. Last question, mate, before we wrap this up.
No worries.
So, England's brought back capital punishment, and unfortunately, you're on the chop.
Okay.
Right? Night before, you've got your last meal. Starter, main, dessert, and drink. What are you having?
Oh, my God.
You can have whatever you want.
What am I having?
The only rule I'm putting on this
What am I having?
is
Okay.
you have to be able to eat it. I don't want leftovers.
Okay, so I'll go for a starter of peanut butter on toast.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go for a main meal of roast.
Yep.
I'm gonna say I'll say roast pork.
Cool.
And dessert would be something that's like a cinnamon and sultana cinnamon sultana apple cake.
Nice.
Yeah, that would be the dessert, and the drink. Can I have cheap?
An alcoholic. You can have an alcoholic and non-alcoholic.
Oh, can I have an alcoholic and a non-alcoholic?
Yeah, I'll change the rules for you. That's the first time I've allowed this, but for you, you can have one of each.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah, this is perfect then. So I'll go with that. So right at the end with my dessert, I'm gonna have my apple sultana cinnamon cake with a side of bourbon whiskey shot on the rocks.
Nice.
All right, and a coffee.
Okay, that's that then. Lovely stuff. I mean, I've not got into asking people how they want to be executed because it didn't seem appropriate. But anyway,
I would like to be drowned because it's supposed to be euphoric when you die when you drown. So there you go.
There we go then. I don't think that's going to become a regular question, but you've answered it anyway. So, right, mate. Thank you very much for taking the time to have a chat with me, mate. I really appreciate it. Anvil reopens May 17th, is it?
Yep, Monday, May 17th. If you want to come down, make sure you go onto our Facebook page, send us a message, and get the bookings because we're going to be taking bookings. It's table service for the first month, isn't it? So,
yeah. And anyone listening to this, Erica Driver playing there on August 27th.
Yes, you are, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back in the Anvil.
I'm confident we're going to sell out this time.
Good.
We've got very close twice now. I think the last time we did it, we did 94.
Yeah, you did really well. And you do it right as well, which is commendable. So well done you.
Thanks, mate. So I'm going to see you before then. But yeah, so April, fucking May 17th, Anvil reopens. Twitch.tv/Pair Essentials with a Z.
Yep.
Streaming Sunday and Tuesday.
Yep.
And we are over on the Bloodstock page, which is the Bear Pit on Thursdays.
And that's Bloodstock. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, Bloodstock Fest is the handle for Twitch on that.
I'll leave links and stuff because I'm going to throw this up on the YouTube.
Amazing.
So I'll leave links in there.
Thank you, man.
Right, mate. Yeah, anything else you want to plug before we go?
Make sure you tune into the show every time he puts it out because Matt's a legend.
Nice one, mate. Thank you very much for talking to me, Matt, and I'll see you soon.
No worries. Thanks, man.
Take it easy, Bear. See you later.